Hey everybody, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're talking about something I think a lot of us have experience with, but maybe haven't had the words for: bullshit jobs.
And we're not just talking about work that's a drag. It goes deeper than that.
Right. And we've got some interesting research from you listeners about how these, well, BS tasks actually change how people behave at work. It's not always pretty.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to find meaning in their work, but what happens when you just don't? Or, even worse, when the work feels actively pointless.
Well, that's where anthropologist David Graeber comes in. Have you heard of him?
Yeah.
He's the one who really put this term bullshit jobs on the map.
His definition's kind of a mouthful, though, isn't it? I mean, he's talking about jobs or even just tasks that are, like, completely unnecessary, pointless, maybe even kind of harmful to do.
And the real kicker, it's all about how you feel about it. Like, objectively, your job might seem fine from the outside.
Totally. It's that gut feeling you get this is BS that the research really digs into. And just to be clear, we're not just talking about a lack of purpose at work. This is a whole other monster.
Right. It's more specific than that. It's about feeling like what you're doing just doesn't matter. Researchers call this bullshit job perceptions, or BJP. Catchy, huh?
BJPP, I'm going to use that. So what's the big deal with BJP then?
Well, this is where it gets kind of wild, having high BJP, that feeling that your work is meaningless. Turns out, it's a better predictor of bad behavior at work than, say, just not feeling a sense of purpose.
Whoa, wait a minute. Are you saying that even if I like some parts of my job, just having a few bullshit tasks on my plate can make me more likely to like snap at my
It's
coworkers?
that way. Our brains are kind of obsessed with the negative, Like, remember that time you got a parking ticket? You probably dwelled on that more than all the days you parked just fine.
Oof, don't remind me about parking tickets. Okay, but here's the thing. If everyone hates these bullshit parts of their jobs so much, why don't more people
Yeah.
just quit?
Well, it's not always so simple, is it? Plus, it turns out, it's not an either situation. You can love aspects of your job, and still be totally over the pointless stuff. It all exists at once.
Ugh, tell me about it. Sometimes I feel like I have the best job in the world, and then other days I'm ready to chuck my laptop out the window.
And it's not just about, like, feeling blah about your job either. This research actually found that bullshit tasks can lead to some seriously bad vibes at work.
Okay, so we're not talking about just zoning out during meetings then. What kind of bad vibes are we talking about here? Full-on office rebellion.
Well, maybe not storming the break room, but it can get pretty bad.
Yeah.
Think, like, purposely not trying as hard, blowing off work, or even, and this is the worst part, being a jerk to your coworkers.
Yikes. Okay, so not great for team morale then.
Definitely not. Researchers have a name for all this. They call it counterproductive work behavior, or CWB for short.
CWB. Catchy. So basically, all the stuff you don't want to see happening in your office, right?
Exactly. But, and this is where it gets kind of interesting, if everyone secretly hates these bullshit tasks, why don't we see more people just, I don't know, quitting, or at least speaking up about it?
Yeah, that's a good point. Is it just that people are afraid to rock the boat?
Could be part of it. But the research actually points to something else, too. Our own personal beliefs about the value of work.
Okay, now we're getting philosophical. I'm into it. Tell me more.
So it turns out, and this is going to sound weird, people who have a really strong work ethic, the ones who believe that hard work equals success and all that.
The ones who always meet their deadlines and never leave their desk before 6 p.m.
Yeah, those folks, they're actually more likely to engage in that CWB stuff when they feel stuck at a bullshit job.
Wait, really? So the people who are like most dedicated to work are also the most likely to act out when their job feels meaningless. That seems counterintuitive.
It does, right. But think about it this way. If your whole identity is tied up in your work, and you truly believe that any job worth doing is hard work, then having a job that feels pointless.
It feels like a personal attack.
Exactly. Like you're being betrayed by the thing you've put so much faith in. No wonder people get a little, shall we say, counterproductive.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that would mess with your head. So it's like a recipe for disaster. You have this deep belief in work, but then your job is telling you that your work doesn't even matter.
It's a recipe for some pretty intense frustration, that's for sure. And remember, we're not just talking about anecdotal evidence here. The researchers actually designed these really clever studies to test all this out in the real world.
Oh, I love a good research study. So how'd they measure all this bullshit and counterproductive behavior? Did they just follow people around the office and like take notes?
Laughs, I wish. No, they used surveys and questionnaires to figure all this out. And here's the coolest part. They didn't just use college students or anything, They actually got data from real employees in all sorts of different fields and countries, which just goes to show this isn't just some made-up phenomenon.
International intrigue, A&D, real-world data. This deep dive just keeps getting better. So what did the researchers find? Give me the highlights.
Well, across 3 separate studies, which is always a good sign, by the way, it means the findings are more likely to be legit. They found that connection, that link between high BJP, a strong work ethic, and a big uptick in counterproductive work behavior.
So not just a coincidence then.
Not at all. And they thought about other things that could be going on too, like maybe these workplaces were just generally toxic with bad bosses or something, but they controlled for all that, things like company culture, leadership styles, all that stuff.
And the results still held up.
Yep. Even after accounting for all those other factors, that link between feeling like your job's BS, having a strong work ethic, and then acting out, it was still there. Strong as ever.
Wow, okay. So it really does seem like it's that toxic combination. The meaningless work, PLUS, the belief in hard work. But what do we do with that information? Where do we go from here? So where does this leave us? I mean, we've spent all this time talking about bullshit jobs, this counterproductive behavior. It's kind of depressing, right?
Oh, hopefully not. The point isn't to bum everyone out. It's to actually use this knowledge to, make things better.
I like the sound of that. So how do we actually do that? How do we take all this research and apply it to our own lives?
Well, I think the first step is just being aware of it, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever felt that bullshit job feeling that, is this really what I'm doing with my life?
Oh, absolutely. Especially on Mondays.
Right. And how did you react? Did you find yourself suddenly wanting to reorganize the supply closet? Or maybe accidentally spill coffee on that spreadsheet you were dreading?
Maybe. But seriously, it's not always that obvious, is it? Sometimes it's more subtle, like just feeling totally checked out.
Oh, for sure. And that's actually something that research touched on too, this link between bullshit jobs and something called cyberloafing.
Cyberloafing. Okay, that sounds kind of shady. Is that like some new internet slang I'm too old to know about? What is cyberloafing?
Laughs. No, it's not that exciting. It's basically just the official term for scrolling through social media at work when you should be doing, work.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think we've all been there, especially when the work feels super meaningless.
Exactly. And it turns out for people who have a really strong work ethic, cyberloafing might actually be a way of coping with that feeling of meaninglessness.
Really? So scrolling through Instagram is my brain's way of protecting itself from the soul-crushing reality of my inbox? That's kind of fascinating.
Right. It's like your brain is saying, okay, this task might be totally pointless, but at least I can control what I see on my phone for the next 5 minutes.
I mean, it makes sense, but obviously spending all day on Twitter isn't really a sustainable solution, is it?
Not really. But the good news is, just knowing about these patterns, being aware how our own beliefs about work play into all of this, that's actually really helpful.
Okay, so awareness is key. Got it. But what else can we do about it? I mean, if I'm feeling that bullshit job feeling creeping in, should I just announce it to my boss?
Well, maybe not as a first resort, but it is important to be proactive. Maybe you can find ways to reframe the task, make it feel more meaningful to you. Or if that's not possible, maybe you can talk to your boss about shifting your responsibilities, finding something that feels more aligned with your skills and interests.
So communication is key. I like it. But what about the bosses out there? What should they be doing differently?
That's a great point. If you're in a position of leadership, this research is a good reminder to really think about how the work itself is designed. Are there tasks that consistently leave people feeling drained or disengaged? Maybe it's time to rethink those tasks, delegate them differently, or even just get rid of them altogether.
Yeah, no one wants to feel like they're wasting their time. We all want to feel like our work has some kind of purpose, even if it's not, solving world hunger or something.
Absolutely. And finding those pockets of meaning, even in the most everyday tasks, that can make all the difference.
Well said. Well, folks, it looks like we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of bullshit jobs. Hopefully you've learned a thing or two about how these seemingly meaningless tasks can actually have a big impact on our behavior and what we can do about it.